When I think epic LEGO vehicle, a few come to mind, right? T1 Typhoon from Dino Attack, LEGO's most obnoxious, beautiful helicopter, or some of the vehicles from Exoforce perhaps, Striking Venom, Mobile Devastator, ridiculously massive and awesome. But my favorite might just be MT-101 Armored Drilling Unit from Mars Mission. This thing is ridiculously impressive, and I've been waiting for quite some time to share it with all of you. Without further ado, let's take a closer look. With its release in 2007, set number 7699, MT-101 Armored Drilling Unit would have been one of the largest Mars mission sets, only just falling behind Eagle Command Base. Somehow this massive build only has 635 pieces. That's including the little alien spaceship on the side too. It's got 5 minifigs in total, 3 astronauts, 2 aliens, and it would have retailed for $79.99 back in 2007, which adjusted for inflation is roughly $112 today. I'm undoubtedly a big fan of Mars Mission. There were some really great wins in the theme, and there were some tragic losses as well. This, however, I think is a win. I mean, just look at this thing, even for only 635 pieces. That's the amazing thing about this set. As I was putting this back together again for the first time in years, I looked at the part count and thought, oh, this is gonna be a lot smaller than I remember it being. 635 pieces, but it's not. It's still massive. So the piece that's probably standing out to you the most right now are these orange wheels. These are really special. They are exclusive in this color to this set, but they have been produced in 2 other colors. One of them being the old Imperial Star Destroyer, where these were produced in old light gray, and the other was an M-Tron set, which in fact JangBricks just reviewed on his channel, and it's actually a really great review, and you should go look at it if you somehow don't watch all of JangBricks' videos already. Those are the only 3 sets that this wheel mold came in, so it's hard plastic and virtually all hollow. And the designer here has used a very interesting technique by inserting this radar dish to kind of fill out that space and give the wheel some character. I should talk about the figures here as well. So we get 3 astronauts, which are pretty much exactly the same across all the Mars mission sets. They have different faces, and that's about it. However, I do like the prints a lot. There's some very clear callbacks to classic space, which is greatly appreciated for these guys. The aliens are simple 2-piece builds with some very detailed molding on them. I forgot to highlight it in my last Mars mission video, but the torsos of these aliens allegedly glow in the dark. You can kind of see the milkier look to them. The glow is incredibly subtle, so subtle that I can't really capture it on camera, but you gotta trust me, they kind of glow. Yeah, it's really subtle, but they do glow. It was a fun try. I'm not sure it succeeded in any way, shape, or form, but I like the concept. Now, the main gimmick of this set is that it's actually 3 vehicles in one, plus the fighter over here. So how that works is that these back sections open up and launch a flyer of sorts. And from the flyer, you get this wonderful little vehicle, just a handful of parts, and it comes together to make this little bike of sorts. But that just slides into place in the back here. It's really great. My brother and I were obsessed with this thing as kids. The flyer is really fun in that the cockpit is actually accomplished using a trapdoor piece, which is really quite unique. The astronaut barely fits in there. I constantly hit his head going up and down, but it does work. And it is, again, very clever parts usage. A very big part that goes a long way. That's how they pull off the 635 piece count to make something this impressive. Of course, we have the familiar Mars mission canisters on the side, one holding the crystals that they are mining from the red planet, and the other an alien that they have captured. Theoretically, you could line these up with Eagle Command Base and deposit them there through the tube system, which I highlighted in another video. Without the bike in the back, it's simple. But when you put this in here, I feel like that fills it out very nicely, and this makes for a very decent looking flyer. Much of the same can be said for the drilling unit itself. Without this, it looks very bare. This kind of gives us a taste of what's going on the inside. Not much. However, it feels very strong yet, because again, there's so few pieces, it ends up being very light. It's not going to capsize on itself. This also becomes a launch platform of sorts for the flyer, and it just locks cleanly into place there. And it's mostly held down by these panels in the back. So if this piece looks familiar to you, it's usually used on the canopy of an airplane with room for a door to slide into place. And it's been repurposed very effectively here for a more interesting piece, leaving this open for some sort of exhaust vent of sorts. Now, of course, this is the drilling unit, and there is a drill to mine crystals. Though I can't help but think this is something of an afterthought, because this is just a big, massive, armored thing, and protecting this little tiny drill. The front can be accessed easily as well, making room for a very generously sized cockpit there, as would be expected. There's a number of control panels and such in there. There's these lights on the front. One thing I do really need to highlight about the design of this thing is the suspension. So there's two different types of suspension they've employed here. The front wheels actually, but that sways back and forth for some really fun turning motion, as you can see there. And then on the back, this entire mechanism leans back and forth here. Isn't that just fantastic? Yeah. But you can see all the wheels move as they cross over my hand, which is incredibly satisfying. Just brilliant stuff that it can have that range of motion and still feel so solid. This set is a lot of technique. It was a rather complicated build, a surprisingly complicated build, very satisfyingly so for an AFOL like myself. And of course, I do have to mention the little flyer. We've seen a lot of vehicles like this from Mars Mission. They tend to all look very similar, but not exactly the same. And this one is ever so slightly different than the ones that have come before it. But again, it feels like the bare minimum. And I'm glad the parts budget went towards this rather than towards this. So this one's interesting in that there's really no stopper for the wings, so they can kind of bend pretty far back. Technically, these can both be raised and lowered independently to get some interesting looks, but I kind of like the wide stance of the wings here, though they don't, of course, lock into place, which is a little frustrating. I can't imagine this fight is going to go well. You see, the armored drilling unit also has one of these bionicle sphere shooters. These are actually quite dangerous. It's firing pretty hard plastic at high velocity. I like it. I'm going to show you how this thing works at the risk of losing the ball forever as it rolls on the concrete floor to who knows where. Definitely one of my all-time favorite land vehicles, and definitely one of my favorite Mars Mission sets. I think it only just falls behind Recon Dropship to become the second best Mars Mission set ever made. Of all the waves, this one is absolutely phenomenal. It was a joy to build. Comes together so quickly. It's not a lot of parts, but it's a massive, massive model. The looks of it don't hold up great under close scrutiny. You can see a lot of multicolored Technic and stuff, but from a distance, I mean, this thing is incredibly impressive and it's incredibly fun to play with. You get 4 vehicles in here for the price of 1. Some really fun driving functions. This set is a complete and total win. That's about it. That's MT-101 Armored Drilling Unit. It's crazy impressive. It's crazy fun. I love it a lot. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great life. I'll see you next time.